another episode of Strike Attack. I'm here in our nation's capital of Canberra, here with Kieran Walsh from Muay U. How are you, brother?
I'm good, bro. How are you?
I'm very well, mate, very well.
Good.
Mate, let's just get straight into the interview, bro.
Yes.
Mate, your Muay Thai journey.
Yes.
Let's start with that.
Yeah.
And how did you get started into Muay Thai and how long was that? And
So I was about 11 years old at the time. My mum took me along to a gym which had like kickboxing and a bit of kung fu and a few different things. And I was actually originally meant to start in this off version of kung fu because there was a friend of hers whose son got attacked. It was this whole story.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I got brought along and they said, oh, he'd probably be too young for that because everyone else is an adult and whatever. And hey, why doesn't he do kickboxing? Because obviously like kickboxing on the East Coast was pretty big at the time.
what year was this? Around what?
So this was about 2001.
2001, yeah?
2001.
And you were young age, 14, 15, around there?
11, so I was born
11,
1990. I'm 34, so I was born 1990.
You're a young buck, mate, young buck.
Yeah, I was 11 at the time.
Yeah.
Obviously it started as kickboxing and then like evolved its way into Muay Thai and then here I am today.
Yeah, and then like your Muay Thai career, how many fights did you end up having there?
So I think I had about, I want to say maybe 15 or 16. I had my last fight when I was like 21 or 22 years old.
We'll touch on that as
well.
well.
We did. We talked about it yesterday. Like in my first fight, I think I was 16, full kickboxing fight, broke my wrist at the time. Went to the hospital, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, always an issue over the years. Like I always had problems with my wrist. There would be times I wouldn't punch. Times I would like be training for a fight and I wouldn't punch either. And then through friends of friends and whatever, I eventually got on to some hand surgeons and some sports specialists and they diagnosed it with...
You would have had very good hands, the sports specialists in here in Canberra.
Yeah, in Canberra. And so I got put onto a sports specialist and then one of the best hand surgeons in the country, and they said I had a degenerative disease in my arm. And so when I'd first broken it, it was pretty much going downhill from there.
Okay.
And so they pretty much said, look, the reality is, I mean, this is like the wrist of a 90-year-old man kind of thing. Oh,
really?
And you're gonna, it's just gonna go to powder.
Yeah.
So you probably shouldn't do this anymore.
No. Represented Australia?
I was like, man, like, I had enough fights that I'm content enough.
Yeah.
You know, like I got to fight a number of decent Aussie guys at the time, especially in New South Wales. And I went to, like we were talking about yesterday, I went to IFMA once. I think that was 2010, 2011. That was the first time I met Daz. I'd said that to you as well. Daz was the coach at the time. There was Kaylee. I think Kim Olsen was in the team. Lino Tack, Luke Aram, a few of these guys and girls. Tom Boyle, who now owns a gym in Alice Springs, originally from Adelaide. Yeah, so got to do that. I mean, I lost in the first round. But,
but that experience, I mean...
yeah, it was wicked, man. It was real. Yeah. I fought in 71 and...
Not 1971, 71 kilos.
No, like 71 kilos. And I think like at the time I was walking around at like 69 or something.
Oh, really?
And so when everyone was cutting weight, I was eating food. And when I remember I got in the fight, I got in the ring and I was like, fuck, this dude's massive. And I just lost that fight on points. And that's just the nature of it, you know, with IFMA. Like you... go over there and just lost that first one, man.
But some time in Thailand as well. You did a trip to Thailand as a young lad, and that was a bit of an eye opener for you, was it?
Yeah, I think the first time I went to Thailand, I was about 17. Ooh. So I was a year young for my year. So when I finished school, I was 17, and that was the first time that I went to Thailand. And so that would have been 2007.
Wow. Yeah.
And then I went back a few times since then and following then. But I'd obviously once I sort of hit my mid-teenage years and I was really getting into like Muay Thai and K1 Max was big at the time and that side of kickboxing, and I was just watching anything and everything. And then when I went to Thailand for the first time, it was like, oh man, this is it. Because it wasn't, we were sort of getting to that age of technology where we did have YouTube and you could watch videos and everything like that, but nowhere near the content that we see today, you know? So you either had that, or you had people that had VHS tapes or old DVDs or whatever. And that was the way that you consume the content. And for people listening and watching, a lot of people would remember one of the biggest sources at that time was a forum called K1 Fans. Okay. And Dave Fox, who a lot of Australians know, Dave Fox, he used to post on the K1 fans forum under the name Hellfighter. Like a lot of people who know what I'm talking about, Dave Fox from Victoria, he lived in Thailand and used to film a lot of stadium fights.
Yeah.
And he was really big on the forum at the time under the name Hellfighter. A lot of people would still know, like if you were around in that time, like on that forum, because at that time it was that and International Kickboxer Forum.
Yeah.
They was the IK forum and the K1 fans forum were like, IK was really big for Aussie Muay Thai, and K1 fans was a source that you could go and get kickboxing, Muay Thai, whatever it might be.
So you were basically not obsessed, but just infatuated.
No, I think I wasn't. Yeah, I
you
was
were just a fan.
No, I was obsessed with it, man. Yeah.
And then I'm having a look at your arms and everything like that. So yeah, I mean, what are these called again?
The Sakyant.
Well,
yeah. It's a funny story with that because it was, you know, for most people, and I think I've spoken about this on podcasts before. You're exposed to like Thailand and Thai culture through Muay Thai, and whether that's Buddhism, whether that's like the spirituality of Sakyant, whether it's, you know, anything else. But mine was actually in reverse because growing up, my godfather used to live in Thailand.
Oh,
he lived
really?
in Bangkok, yeah, and he travelled a lot. So he had a house not too far from my house, and whenever I would go there as a kid, it was kitted out with like basically like Thai furniture, Thai antiques, all of this real old school stuff. And he would teach me and tell me all about it. And so my sort of exposure to Thailand, funnily enough, was before Muay Thai, not after. Yeah, so, which was quite cool.
We were talking about yesterday, like obviously we had a good chat yesterday, and Buddhism. How does that come into, are you a practicing Buddhist? Or,
remember my godfather always said to me at the time, he's like, oh, one day I want to take you and we'll go be ordained in Bangkok. He's like, really? We'll go do one of the like 1 or 2 week ordinations. It never happened. There's a part of me that wish it would, but other part of me like, oh, fuck, whatever, it is what it is. But he always used to, I think jokingly too, would say, oh, we'll go and get ordained one day and stuff. And so that was my exposure to it. Like growing up, like a lot of kids my age and our family and whatever, like Catholicism or Christianity is the main religion. But I always used to struggle with the concept of Catholicism or Christianity or whatever, the concept of heaven and hell, and but it's sort of slowly from that exposure with my godfather, and then obviously like aspects of Muay Thai and traveling to Thailand, and then just through being an inquisitive person, learning more about it, and that sort of almost, you know, for some, I feel like nowadays the more modern take is like, well, not modern because it's older too, but Stoicism. Like a lot of people are into Stoics these days. Yes. Like I am too, but a lot of people, Stoicism is
stuff like that.
Is a big thing at the moment. But really, Stoicism and Buddhism have so many crossovers. Yeah, you know, like such is life, and it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Things that are. And so like, yeah, man. I mean, I try my best to live my life towards those principles. It's not easy, but
how did you get into coaching? You know, what made you, like, obviously the injury risk cut your career short, and then obviously coaching. You're a great communicator. You know, I've been hanging around for a couple of days now, and you communicate with all of your fighters and anyone, myself. How did you become like this communicator? And
so my mum was a journalist. Yeah, and so growing up, she would like pick on the way I spoke, basically. Like she would make sure that I spoke properly, and so that was a big part of that. Yeah. My godfather as well, the one who I mentioned before, like he was a journalist too. All of my mum's friends were journalists, and so it was just, I think like the communication was a big thing, you know. Yeah. And just being around people like that and learning to articulate, and then like I was lucky enough to start like helping to coach or start coaching when I was maybe 17 or 18, and so you've then got you know, talking to people day in, day out. And I think coaching is one of the best things that, I mean, I just think it's, if you can coach, because you need to, especially in a sport like Muay Thai, you need to articulate things very simply, very quickly. Like I'm big on especially in that side of it, cornering and in fights and stuff, because you think about a fighter walking back, a fighter going back out, if you have maybe 45 or 50 seconds to give instruction, and that can sometimes be the difference between winning or losing a fight. But the same thing goes in coaching, just general day to day. Like, people tend to waffle too much, like they talk too much, like they go, but they don't really get anywhere with it. Yeah. And so I think the combination of the family that I grew up in, plus coaching from a young age, sort of led me to speak this way, be this way, yeah.
Now let's get into Muay U. How did like Muay U start? Why did you start a gym? Where did that inspiration come from, or that passion? Or?
I think for anyone who is a coach and has been a coach for a long time, and if you coach under someone else, maybe you have your own way that you want to do things and you want to teach things because of the other teachers that you've had, or maybe you just want to have your own. People want to say, I don't really like the word legacy, but you know, maybe you want to have your own legacy or something like that. Well, then for me, it just makes sense. Yeah. And so I was in that position, and I just thought, yeah, fuck it. Just I'm going to open a gym.
Open the gym. Yeah, and how long's Muay U been open for now?
So 2018, so 6 and a bit years.
Is that why Canberra 18?
That's why we've got the 18 on the jerseys, yeah.
And let's I want to go and like, nice. Muay U, like, is that Muay University? Would that be?
Yeah, we don't call it university. Like the MCs at fight shows have called it that.
Okay,
but we don't call, like, but yes, it does stand for university. And it's the U is modelled after. It's the collegiate style of sports in America.
Okay, yeah.
So the reason I did it like that is because when I looked at collegiate sports in America, you are a fan from when you go to that school up until the day that you die.
Yes.
And the one thing that I think that we're missing in Muay Thai is fans.
Yes.
And we need more fans, and I want to try and replicate that fandom, and I want to replicate that relationship that people have.
We're talking yesterday, coaching styles. We're talking about your coaching, but you don't follow that. You take a lot of inspiration, not just from Muay Thai coaches. You've got NFL coaches. Bill Belichick is one of your big inspirations. José Mourinho as well. We're talking about the way they coach. What are the parts of those coaches that you bring into Muay Thai?
I mean, for me, it's a number of things. It's one, it's how they lead people or teams.
Yeah.
And 2, it's how they communicate. And so I think they're 2 biggest things.
Yeah.
And then 3, it's how I coach them.
Yeah.
And so I feel like a lot of the best coaches, and we spoke about this yesterday, they don't completely break someone down, we're going to start again.
Yeah.
They take what they have, discard the bad parts, and then just add to them.
Add to them, yeah,
yeah.
Of course.
And the biggest thing that I like about coaches in sports like that is the majority of those professional high-level coaches, they inherit every single player.
Yeah.
They don't build them from the ground up. We wear that as a badge of honour sometimes in Muay Thai, which I've never quite understood, because in any other professional sport, very rarely will you find a professional sport, maybe with the exception of like gymnastics or something, whereby you take an athlete from absolutely zero all the way up.
Yeah.
Now, if you can do it, I think that's incredible, but also I don't really see that as a badge of honour in the sense of I think gyms should also be good at being able to take other fighters. The same way that there are some football clubs who they're like breeding clubs, you know, they just get kids up to a certain point and then they pass them on to the bigger clubs.
Yeah.
And that's something that I love to see. And I've been lucky enough to inherit some very talented fighters.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been lucky enough to build people from the ground up.
Yeah.
But then I've been lucky enough to inherit talented guys like Max, like Davey.
And then build on there.
And add to them.
And add to them.
And build to them.
And then give them more championships.
Yeah. And so that's, And so they're, just to come all the way back to it.
Yeah.
They're the things that I take inspiration from coaches. And I said this to you yesterday. It was at that IFMA when I had first met Darren, and he was the first Muay Thai coach that I had met who spoke in the way that he still does. And a lot of people know for the way that he coaches.
Yeah.
And I took a lot of inspiration from Daz. And he knows that. I've said it to him plenty of times. But he's always been in Muay Thai one of my bigger coaching inspirations. Yeah.
Yeah, no. You've been in the same premises?
We've been in the same building the whole time. When I first opened it up, it was maybe, I think it was about 220 square meters. So it was about a third of the gym. We had just the one entrance and exit. Obviously now we've got one side to enter and one side to exit. We had the same up and down. Yeah. I walked in here and I was like, yep, sweet, this is it. Like I could just picture it straight away. And then, had the ring, had a bunch of mats. I had lucky enough to have like some of my closest friends who you know, helped every day with like getting the gym prepared and knocking stuff down.
Are they still around, these friends and everything?
Oh, and one of which is just about 5 meters away.
There he is, he's put his hands up.
Yeah. Man, like guys like Mark, he did so much to help me. Like his wife, Sarah, my other friend, Steph, like there were heaps of people, but then some of the founding members who were with me from the beginning, you know, you had people like Diandra and Paris and Josh Desmond and Dan Marshall and a few of these guys that had been with me that I was coaching at the previous gym when I was training the fighters, and then those few people came with me to this gym. They helped me start it up, and so we started in that 220 square meters and then grew from there.
And then you just bashed down the wall and just took over the whole floor.
In chunks. We did it in thirds. I mean, we took a third and then we took the final third.
Marco has. He's a physio or
he's a massage.
A massage. So he works out of here as well. He's putting his hand up again.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll have a
He's good at his job too, but don't fucking pump his tyres up too much. I got to keep him humble.
So the community here in Canberra and the Muay Thai community is well, you've got. Can we say how many members you got here? You got a few.
I've got a few, yeah.
You got a few,
yeah.
And it's pretty busy at the moment. It's obviously Christmas time. You got the Christmas party this afternoon.
Yes.
But it's a bit quieter now. But you know, when it's pumping, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
You know, you got the fighters.
Man. I think we usually have anywhere from like 10 plus classes a day between morning, lunch and night, and then we're open 7 days a week as well. So we have a class on a Sunday, we've got a class on Saturday, and then Monday to Friday too. So my biggest thing was I don't want people to have a reason that they can't find time to train.
Yeah.
We'll have one class will just be entirely pad work, and then another class will be entirely like sparring and clinching, or another class will be entirely like gear on, drilling, practicing technique, doing stuff like that. And the reason we do it that way is because when I looked at the way that some other gyms train, and I looked at certain sessions, and I thought, I don't know how much good work you can fit in an hour if you have to break it into so many little different bits.
Yeah.
But if you want to train for longer, you can, because we alternate the sessions back to back. So if you want to do like the first hour of technique and doing drills and hitting the bag and stuff like that, you can, and then you can stay for the next hour, and then that's going to be a pad work session.
Jesus Christ!
And so then you get a 2 hour session, much like you might in Thailand. You go to Thailand or something like that. But also you don't have to. You can just train for an hour. You can do the first one, or you can do the second one. Some people just want to hit pads.
Yeah.
Some people just want to spar. Some people just
of course.
But some people want to do everything, and so they just stay and train for longer.
Oh, you've got a big fighting stable, haven't you?
Yes.
Like last night, obviously it's Christmas time. There was about 10, 15.
About 10.
About 10, 15 last night, and that was a lot of fun. Because there was mucking around, doing kick sparring and pad work, and it was that was fun. But the fighters that you do have, like you said, Deandra Martin's been here since the beginning, and she's one of your champions. Let's talk about that. You know, you're a champion fighter. So who are the big fighters out of that's come out of this gym with you?
I can rattle them off. You've obviously got Diandra. You've got her sister Davina as well.
Okay, yeah.
So Diandra and Davina. So Davina. So she's in Adelaide now. She's lives with her boyfriend Jordan Fielding, who owns Strong Heart.
Oh, Jordan Fielding, of course.
So long. We won't tell that story on a podcast, man. But it's a funny one. I love Jordan's like one of my really good mates.
Yeah, I love Jordan as well. I met Jordan.
But so Davina and Jordan live together. So she moved down to Adelaide maybe during this year.
Yeah.
So Davina. So we had Diandra and Davina.
Yep.
Some of the other founding members we had like Michelle and Paris. They, I've obviously not fought in a long time. Had Daniel Marshall. He worked his way up to a state champion. Obviously I got Gabrielle de Ramos, who's now obviously quite well known. Big on Instagram, has fought all over. You got Max McVicker, David Pennempede. Like there's a lot of There's been a lot of them. But then I'm also proud of all of my amateurs and my middle level guys and girls that are starting to come through as well. Yeah.
Buggy now, he's one of your fighters, but now you're transitioning to him into a bit of a coach, yeah?
A bit of coaching, because it's good for these guys to learn. I think, same thing, the same way that I learned to communicate and do everything. But I also think when you coach, it makes you a better fighter. Yeah. Because you have to think about technique a lot more. Sometimes fighters can be a little bit mindless. Yeah. And they can just come in and, if I tell them to shadow, and I can't be on everyone's back all the time. I try to say this to them. I can't be on your back. If I've got 20, 25 fighters, I can't be in your ear while you're shadowboxing for 10 minutes. It's up to you. You have to be autonomous enough to do it. But I think, but we also know that they can just kind of waffle a little bit, you know, like just shadow and kind of just do whatever. And so for me, coaching is a great way because they have to think about what they're coaching.
Yeah.
But then they, again, like I said before, they have to think about how they communicate it.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, I mean, it definitely helped for me. It may
explain in simple terms, like that. Who says? I think it might be Einstein says something like, you know, a good coach or a good teacher can explain something with only a few words.
Yeah, exactly. And the biggest thing about coaching is sometimes you can teach yourself something because you can have. This can be a bit of an ego thing for people, but I'm okay with the fact that even though I know exactly how to do something, the way I teach something or the way I communicate something, it just might not get through to someone. Yeah. It doesn't mean I'm not good at it. Yeah. It's just not working for them. They got to pick it up. But maybe they'll see a fight and go, oh, that's what they were talking about. Yeah. Or maybe they go to teach it a bit, like refine it and go, oh, that's what they were talking about. Yeah. And so I think coaching is good for that. Martial arts, mate. Martial arts, you learn a technique and you put your own little bits and pieces and you just, but it's just learning. Yeah. It's just learning.
Muay Thai has, like, in the past, say, I'd reckon 5 years. I've only been doing this content in the last, say, year and a half, 2 years. I've seen the sport grow exponentially in this country. I mean, what can the gyms do, or what can Muay Thai people in Australia do to help grow the sport more and get it out there?
Be professional. Not a hobby anymore. Don't treat it like a hobby. Yeah. Treat it like your job. Treat it like a business. Yeah. Treat it like a professional. Treat it like you would walk into any other business. Yeah. Muay Thai needs to be professional. You know, it needs to be spoken about. It needs to, if we want it to be spoken about in the same realms of MMA or other sports, we need to emulate what they do. Yeah. You know, we need to copy what they do. I think the growth of Muay Thai is because of the growth of combat sports. It's not just Muay Thai. Yeah. Muay Thai hasn't grown because Muay Thai has done something special. Yeah. Muay Thai has grown because all combat sports have grown. Yeah. Not just Muay Thai, you know, like, but through the rise of things like UFC, people have been exposed more because boxing was around forever. Yeah. But people have been exposed more to kicking and clinching and kneeing and elbowing, and they're realizing they got a taste for it. And now you've got fucking shows in Russia with 7 dudes punching them together and like phone box fights, and you know, but people have been exposed to it more. Yeah. And we innately as people, like the primitive nature of us is we fight. Yeah. You know, I think it's fight. It's combat.
I think it is innately in humans that
And so that for me is like, it's that. But you've got to remember, man, and you know, you're from WA, you've got guys like Fon, who was bringing out some of the biggest Thai stadium superstars in the 90s man. So there have been incredible fighters coming out. Yeah. You know, and you've got guys like some of the shows that Tarek Solak used to put on, or some of the big kickboxing fights in Melbourne. If you look at some, and you can just go on YouTube, if you look at like Stan the Man and Dennis Alexio.
Yeah, Stan the Man.
I still haven't seen a crowd that big in Melbourne.
I remember that. That's amazing.
And so, but you've got, so for me, it's not Muay Thai that's grown. Combat sports has grown.
Okay, yeah.
But sorry, what I mean to say is like, it's not Muay Thai on its own that's grown. Yeah. Collectively, combat sports as a whole has grown. Yeah. I can see it. And Muay Thai has come along with it. And you can see there are a lot of gyms, like mine included, a lot of my friends in New South Wales, I see it over in WA, I see it up in Queensland, and these gyms are run like proper businesses now. Yeah, yeah. But it's okay to be run like a business. We don't want to get caught up, like I don't think we can get caught up in this, like we forever have to have this mentality of, we have to be rough and dirty and out of a garage, and no, it shouldn't work like that anymore. Don't be afraid to run your gym like a business. Yep. Obviously, so long as you keep what you're teaching proper and Muay Thai, like don't water it down for the sake of it. Yeah. But also don't be afraid to run a business. You can make a living off of Muay Thai.
Of course.
You can give people money to make a living off of Muay Thai. This is the way that we continue to up.
This here at Muay U, you have a few people that work here
Yes.
as well. So yeah, it is a business. It's it's a part of the. I'd say, would you say it's part of the fabric, the social fabric here?
And I think so, yeah. Because,
in
I
Canberra?
would not feel comfortable running a business like this if my fighters was shit.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then I would be like, oh, okay, the business is taken over to, like, something is going wrong here. Because for me, it's still my passion and my love for it is still Muay Thai.
Yeah.
And it's still having good fighters.
Yep.
Like, as much of I said it to you yesterday, I don't like to use the word entrepreneur, but as much of an entrepreneur as I am, because I have businesses outside of other things that I do outside of this, it's still, for me, like, I'm personally not driven by money.
Yeah.
Like, money is needed,
Of course.
to run businesses and do everything else. But if for whatever reason I thought that there was a sacrifice of the quality of Muay Thai, well, then I would change it up.
Yeah. This is and here we talk about this as a very professional, but and it's still an essence of Thai. You still got the Thai. You got Thai trainers. Do you think it's important to have Thai trainers in a Muay Thai gym?
I don't think so.
You've got 2 Thais in the gym?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's important, but I think it's good.
Yeah.
Because I think it adds it adds a really good element to it. It can help you as a coach. Like, you've got really good pad holders and training partners for some of the guys and girls. You've got, it gives your members something too as well. You know, like, that's exciting. And it's like, you see it the country over, you can have a trainer who's a Western trainer, twice as experienced as the Thai trainer.
Yeah.
But people want to do PTs with Thai training because they're Thai. But I think that's good, man. I've got no problem with that. I think that's really good.
Yeah.
And I think they do definitely add to, I think they do absolutely add to, like, the gym and the business and the vibe. And it does
especially
bring...
the vibe. They're so
and it does,
fun.
and it does bring that, like...
Yeah.
I don't want to use the word authenticity, but you understand what I mean.
Yes,
right?
I do.
It brings something to it. And so, and they're just, yeah.
Yeah. What advice would you give to someone starting in Muay Thai? And in the business of Muay Thai? What
As a coach, like as a gym owner?
Yeah.
As someone who wants to open a gym?
Yeah.
I think if you want to open a gym, set your sights high, set goals, be realistic and work hard.
Yeah. But that's just...
If you're going to, look, this is not, I'm not reinventing the wheel here. It's very common knowledge, but you need to you got to be ready to work hard because it is a hard job, man.
Yeah.
Muay Thai is a hard job.
Yes.
Like any business, Muay Thai is hard, but it's also hard because it's taxing on your body as well.
Yeah.
And when you first start, you do everything. You do the admin, you clean, you hold pads, you teach classes, you do the whole lot. And I had said it to you yesterday, like when I first opened the gym, I slept on a couch next to the ring.
Yeah.
So I was always ready to do everything.
Yeah.
And it's not easy.
So at the beginning, you've got to just go for it. You've got to
work hard
and go for that grind.
Have your ethos or who you want to be and what you want to do set. Like, have that image and just honestly just stick to your guns.
Yep.
Like, just stick to your guns.
Just embrace the grind.
Yeah.
I think that's right.
Yeah. I don't really like to use the word grind, but yeah. I feel like it's a fucking overused word now. People like to post it on Insta and shit, but
I do that all the time.
Too much grind. I don't give a shut up.
Yeah. Do you want to go through?
Grind is like, I feel like it's one of those. In today, we people love to, you always see people posting quotes on their Instagram stories all the time, and I call it like motivational porn, like
motivational porn.
But it's just, or they're always talking about. Usually, I look at most of the successful people that I know, and I know people far more successful than me who have money that most people would never make in their entire life.
You don't even.
They don't talk about it, man.
They just do it.
They just do it.
Just fucking do it.
A lot of the most successful people I know and the richest people that I know and all of these guys, they're just doing it.
Yeah.
They're not talking about it unless it's for their brand.
Yep.
Unless they've built a brand around them as an entrepreneur, as an individual and the work that they do, they're not talking about how hard they work because they don't have time to talk about how hard they work. They're just working.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so, what about fighters? What advice would you give to the fighters?
Listen to your coach. Do what your coach says.
Yeah?
If you trust your coach, I think you should, like, if you're going to train under them, I assume that you trust them and you have faith in what they tell you to do.
Yeah.
Please trust what they say. Please don't talk back to them. Please just do it. If for whatever reason later down the track you feel like it hasn't worked out or anything like that, you can communicate to them. But I want you to, you got to trust your coach, and you got to put confidence in them. And on the flip side of it, and this is something I feel like we don't talk about enough. Actually, funnily enough, Pinky and Jordan Fielding talked about this the other day in their podcast.
But good podcast, that.
But if for whatever reason you don't want to fight anymore, you don't want to train under your coach, any of these things, like you want to leave, maybe you want to stop fighting, have a conversation. Don't leave. For me, I say to my guys and girls before they start fighting, I say, look, if it ever comes to it that you don't want to fight anymore, just tell me. Don't be scared to tell me, just tell me. I don't care. I would rather that you tell me than you don't. I would rather that you tell me than you just disappear. And some people do that. And like for me, if people don't want to fight, there's nothing wrong with it. Not everyone wants to fight. Or maybe they think they did, but they don't anymore.
Not everyone's a fighter.
I've got no problem with that. I respect you if you have the enough to come and tell me and say it to me. I don't want to fight anymore. I'm moving away. Even if it's a hard one, like I'm going to another gym or something. Be willing to have that conversation with each other.
So communication and trust is the most important, two most important things for a coach and a fighter to have. I think so as well. And having a good relationship with them as well. That's all comes with trust.
Having a good relationship. And I like, look, a lot of us in Muay Thai, sometimes we crack and we yell. Don't take it too personally.
We all do. We're emotional.
But don't take it personally. You know, like my biggest thing, you know, I said it to you yesterday in the earlier days, I used to yell a fair bit and I try not to at all anymore because there's a lot of, again, similar, like good coaches that I follow and stuff. And it's like, if you have to yell, you're just not getting your point through. And I think, you know, there are exceptions to it, but I really try my hardest. And I think about it, man. I've had times and moments where I've really roused on some of my guys and girls. And man, it sits with me a bit. I think about it, you know. Oh, fuck, I shouldn't have said that. Fuck, I shouldn't have, you know. But we're all only human, man.
That's all right.
Live and learn, move on. Don't take it. Don't take it so much to heart and move on. This is a hard fucking sport, man. This is a hard sport. If you if little things get to you, I'm telling you right now, you might succeed at the start, but you're not going to succeed in the long term.
But wouldn't you say when you say having that sort of attitude, taking that into life as well?
Absolutely,
you know what I mean?
No, you can't take little things too seriously, man, because they will build up and they will eat you alive. And they will tire you out. People underestimate the impact that thoughts and words have on themselves. And it's a big thing for me. Like as a coach, I always teach my other coaches that they always have to speak in the positive and not the negative. And for example, one thing that I always see in fights, which for me is the biggest mistake that corners make, I still make it from time to time when it's like in the heat of the moment. But one of the biggest mistakes I do is telling fighters what not to do instead of what they should do. So like, for an example, don't punch can instead be kick more.
So
trying to have the positive and not the negative.
Of course.
The first person that ever taught me this, and I learned it probably in my early 20s, and he was a really good communicator. And one thing he said to me is the example that he gave, and I have a shocking memory, but this has stuck with me. He said, a perfect example is if you pass a glass of liquid like water or milk to a young kid or a toddler, don't drop that. Versus, be careful with that. Completely different way to communicate, and more often than not, they're so focused on not dropping it, they're probably going to drop it.
Of course.
But be careful with it is the positive. And that example that he gave me, man, I've used that so far into my... It's probably one of the biggest things that I have as a coach, which I try to pass on to my coaches and to other people. I mean, I've said it on a lot of podcasts too, but I think it's like a real important. But when you carry that on to life and into everything else, it's trying to put things into the positive. Even the way that you speak to yourself and the way that you speak about things, you need to speak in the positive, because negative words, sometimes people don't appreciate or understand the load that negative words can have on you and how you speak to yourself. There's going to be negative stuff in the world, man, and people are always going to be negative. And you know those negative people in you, they're always negative. They just seem fucking sad and depressed. And all they do is like, you know, I put something on up on Instagram the other day about like, don't focus so much on other people. Just focus on yourself.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And don't be weighed down by what other people are doing or what they say about you. Because if Bundy, you say something bad about me or negative about me, man, that only affects you. It doesn't affect me.
Yes.
Man. And it's negative energy on you. It's not on me. You, man, because you're concerned. You want to spend your time. You want to spend your valuable time on this earth talking about me. Fuck, good luck, bro. Okay.
Fucking
go for it then, man. But it's not, man.
Yeah.
It's like something I tell people, just turn off social media.
Yeah.
Don't open it.
Yeah.
Don't read things. Don't open comments. Don't read this stuff. The more popular you are, or the bigger you get, or the more that you put yourself out there, the more shit that comes back to you. You've got to have a bit of a thick skin with it. But fuck, ultimately, man, we're all gonna die. This is all gonna be over. Don't, you know. And even if there is, if for whatever reason we all die and then there's a trillion of us up in heaven.
Yeah.
And me and Marco are sitting next to a fucking Roman soldier trying to teach him how TikTok works, right? Like, we're not going to give a fuck about any of this. I'm talking to like the guy who got crucified next to Jesus on how Bitcoin works or something.
Yeah,
like, man, you know, if such a thing exists, if heaven is real, like, fuck.
Yeah.
None of this stuff. You're not going to be up in heaven remembering the time that you know, like,
look,
if for whatever reason it is.
So live in the moment, mate. Be present. Live in the fucking moment.
Yeah.
Speaking of Marco was saying before, like,
Oh, yeah, sorry, he's a remedial massage therapist, just to qualify. Because anyone can massage and anyone can get qualified to massage. Marco is a remedial massage therapist, just to clarify.
Just to clarify that.
Yeah, sorry,
Thank you, Marco.
Yeah, he's a remedial massage therapist and he's very good at his job. Praetorian massage next time you're down in Canberra.
Yeah.
Muay U for $10 off. Yeah.
There's a bit of a plug there, guys. I'm going to get a massage after this. Oh, sorry, a remedial massage.
A remedial massage from a remedial massage therapist.
Oh, mate. Who's next for yourself? Mate, of course, big news. There's big changes coming for you. I mean, you've got a child on the way.
Little girl on the way. Yeah, correct. I mean, that's what I'm concerned with at the moment.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I got a little girl. I mean, 22. I mean, every year is big.
Yeah.
And every year that goes by is big and it's changing. You know, I like to plan into the future, but I don't like to plan too much.
Yes.
And yeah, little girl on the way, man.
Congratulations, mate.
Yeah, thank you. I'm over the moon.
For the gym, is there anything big for the gym? Like, there fighters coming up?
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of great up and coming fighters, like from amateurs and lower level pros, and I always work really hard on trying to get them absolutely as many opportunities as possible, whether they are amateurs and pros. And I mean, you've seen it, and we talked about it in the filming that we did yesterday, but like, my guys have gone all over the world, man.
Yeah.
We've gone to every hemisphere. We've been to every continent. We've been to so many countries. And for me, I always work really hard to get my guys and girls some of the best opportunities. And people do, whether people like me or not, they see that.
Yeah.
And they see where my guys and girls get to fight, and they see where we travel to. And I'm always going to, and I will continue to, like, having a baby or not, and no matter what life is, I'm always going to work my hardest to get them the best opportunities and keep building them, because for me, managing and building careers is really important.
Yes.
I hate seeing guys just get stuck on small domestic circuits year on year on year on year on year.
You want to see the bigger picture. You want to see them push as far as
and
they
I
can
often
go.
push them into opportunities that are hard, and I push them into difficult things.
Yeah. Oh, that's fucking brilliant, man.
Every fighter should deserve the opportunity to fight overseas.
Yeah.
But I also think they should test themselves.
Yeah.
You know, I've always said in some of these weight categories, and this ruffles feathers sometimes, but some of these weight categories...
You don't ruffle feathers, mate.
That are dominated by Thais.
Yeah.
If you really want to call yourself the best or a leader or up there, you got to go and fight the good guys over in Thailand.
In Thailand.
If you're 57, 58, 59, 60, 61 kilos... You got to go and fight Thais and stuff, man. If that's what you want to do, like, for me, this is my opinion though, right? This is just my opinion. Please don't, you know. But my opinion is, it comes back to another few things I've said in the past. If you want to refer to yourself as the best, one of the best, and you had guys like Wayne was a perfect example, you know.
John Wayne Parr.
And Wayne went over and the fights in King's Cup and did all of that.
Yes.
You've got guys like Toby who fought heaps over there. You've got, you know, a lot of these guys. I'm not saying you're not an incredible or an amazing athlete if you are in any of those weight divisions, and you don't. You still are. You can be an amazing fighter, an incredible fighter. You can have some of the best promoters who are willing to fly people over to fight you. But for me, like, I want my guys and girls to go that way.
But look, for example, Max McVicker, a world champion for you.
Yes.
He is now, like he said on the podcast, he said in interviews as well that he's done the WBC.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah, come around.
No, we're
Buggy.
Okay, come, Marco, just come in here, mate. Just for a second. This is Marco.
Praetorian massage.
There he is. There he is, mate. He's the remedial massage.
Remedial massage therapist.
Remedial massage. But he's all talked about, like he's done the bouts. He's done all the, you know, the circuit, or not the circuits, but you know, he's fought here and there and everywhere around the world. But now he wants to do the Bangkok, the stadium circuit.
Like the gambling circuit.
Yeah, the gambling circuit. Yeah. I think personally that's a good. If you want to be the fucking best
so too,
in this sport.
But you know, like, boxing is a great example of it. You get guys who have never left America and they're for anyone and everyone.
Yeah.
And if we can continue to build up the sport to a point where we can have the best of the best just continuously be brought over here by promoters to fight them, amazing.
Yeah.
Then you don't have to travel. Then you can just fight in front of your home crowd all the time. That's sick.
Yeah.
I just think we're not quite there yet. But you know, I look at guys, man, and I look at some of the guys who, like a lot of the Australian Muay Thai fighters that I used to really enjoy watching. Obviously, we mentioned Toby and guys like Roy. And Roy fought anyone and everyone here in Australia, man.
Roy Wills.
And there, like, never for a minute would I doubt that he wasn't a fucking amazing fighter. Yeah. Because he absolutely was. People brought lots of guys over for him to fight, and he was a fucking incredible fighter. Yeah. And we have so many other examples. And we have some upcoming examples of guys. You know, you got guys like Josh McCulloch, who has just kind of popped out. He's knocking everyone out. He's fighting guys. You've got heaps of guys and girls over here that are doing an amazing job. I think it would be amazing if promoters, and you've got promoters like Gabba's doing a great job, Darius and Adam Bailey over WA, they're doing a great job as well. Man, when Daz and Kaylee were promoting Epic, they were doing a great job of bringing people over. Yeah. If promoters can continue to do that, and really bring A class over for them to fight. If you've got a guy who's really at the top, I'm not bringing C class, but we all know what they like. We know what C class ties look like. We know what B class ties look like. We know what A class ties look like. Or opponents. Just bring the fucking A class. Bring the fucking A class guys, man. Bring them over. If you've got a guy who's at the top, bring the top over. And I think you got to, for me. And I know it's easier said than done, and I'm not the promoter here, but finding the way to bring them over, finding the way to make that money. This is where it comes back to being a business and running a business. And I know there's so many variables. Please don't, shoot me. I'm not pretending to understand or know your business as a promoter. But similarly, I've worked at elite level sports sponsorship before. Yeah. I know how it works. I've worked for rugby teams on how this works. I get it. I know how it works, and it is achievable. It can be done. I really want to continue to see that. And I think this is why it's good. Like, we just all keep working together. We all keep building together. We all keep being positive and bring the best in. Yeah. Bring the best guys and girls in. Bring them in. Let's build it up. Let's make it, man. And, Andy Sinai, we always refer back to it. And you start to sound like a broken record, but on our podcast, we always refer back to Evo. And we're becoming like a broken record, man. And like, I've got so much respect for Nugget and what Josh Sexton did back in the day, man. But it was like, man, they were really bringing amazing guys and girls over, and it was massive. And you've got obviously the promoters in WA that I mentioned before. You've got people like Nakia and stuff up in Queensland who are bringing people over. Yeah. You've got like Sai in Melbourne who always have. You've got the 1774 boys in Sydney. Yeah. Man, everyone's doing it. Yep. And like, there's not, quality shows. I think it's really important to point out that everyone's doing an amazing job. The level just keeps going up. You've got shows like Alliance that have come on. You've got all these shows, and you can see it in the production. Even Pride in New South Australia. Pride in South Australia. Carly Gangle does an amazing job. Carly is like super switched on. I've followed her journey for a long time. Yeah. And you've got all these promoters, man, they're all lifting their game. Yeah. And they're all trying to improve. And that's one thing that I really like to see. They all might bicker or argue or have differences on the way you want to run things. But ultimately, when you stand back, you can see everyone trying to do a better job. But if we as trainers and as coaches, as gym owners and fighters can continue to be professional and continue to raise the sport as well, then we're all going to benefit.
Of course.
Because we're going to attract more sponsors. We're going to attract more people. We're going to build profiles of everyone. And we can just all build the sport up together.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you don't have to go out and fucking start a social media page. Most of you shouldn't.
Yeah.
But we can all do something to help.
Yeah.
We can volunteer. Man, how many people complain about decisions and results? But
fucking rare.
But they don't do a judge R&J course.
Mate, do the R&J
They don't
course.
referee. They don't judge. They don't help at sparring days. They don't help at development days.
But they always
Let's build it up, man.
Yeah.
Let's keep building up. Let's look at some of these guys. If you've got guys like Andrew Parnham and guys like you've got a lot of those guys and girls there, all the Muay Thai Victoria guys. Some of what they're doing in WA.
Yeah.
They're all doing an amazing job. Man, they're busy people.
Yes, they've always.
But they're still fucking building it, man.
Yeah.
They're thanklessly building it. They're not making money from it.
Yeah.
Look, they're not making money. It's not for profit. For most of them, it's not for profit.
Yeah,
it's set up as a not for profit. It's not designed to be.
So
for
Muay
profit.
New South Wales, Muay Vic,
Muay Thai New South Wales, Muay Thai Victoria.
Yeah.
They're
All
not for profits.
I think Muay Thai WA is not for profit.
They're
all
set up to develop the sport and build the sport. Because if you put the work in there, if you build the sport there,
the grassroots,
everything else is going to grow, man. Grassroots is so important. You have to look at some of the larger sports like AFL.
Yeah.
The grassroots work that AFL does is incredible.
And it's important for their fan base. That is the start of their fan base. So yeah, I mean, we get that fan base in early, and look, that's where we get our champions from as well.
Man, absolutely. And you look at all of these guys.
Future champions come from these development days.
And they build up, and you look at it, man. You can see photos of Max as a kid in the UK fighting at 5 or 6. You can see some of those photos, like you see Toby and Roy together.
Yeah.
Or you can see a young George Mann. Like you see photos of these guys, man.
All at the
doing some of this stuff at 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 years old.
And now
And then look at the fighters that they became. Because the one thing that we have, which sometimes separates us from the Thais, is just the length of time we've been doing it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you can't start. Man, there are some guys who started at 22 and 23 and were world champions at 28 and 29.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that
never
you
too
can't. But the more that we can build this up, man, it's just going to continue to grow, and it's a long-term thing. We can't look short-term.
Yeah,
Don't look just in front of your face.
Yeah.
You've got to look ahead. Look ahead. Look at what are you doing now that impacts 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years, right? It's like you've got to plant trees that the next generation can sit under, and you've got to water it. Yeah. You plant the tree and you water it and you take care of it, and you have to nurture it because it's for the next generation to sit under.
Yeah.
Some of the infrastructure that we build around the country, or some of the things that we do, it's not for this generation. It's for the next generation.
Then the future of our sport, because we're not going to be around. You know, we might be around as fans in 20 years' time.
Well, we're there. We might be contributing in some way. I mean, I want to be in Muay Thai until the day that I die. I might not be a trainer.
Yeah.
I might not own a gym.
You might be just a fan. You'll be a fan.
I might just be a fan. I might just be watching, man.
Yeah.
And I'll be loving it. And you know what? I might go to a show and no one knows who I am.
I don't think so.
No,
brother.
but it's true. This is the thing that I say, man.
You say it all the time.
It's all finite, man. I'm 34 years old. I might be 60 one day and I go to a show and maybe my gym stopped long moons ago, many moons ago. No one knows who I am.
Yeah.
They don't know that I was there when Max McVicker won his world title, when Davey won his international title, when Gabrielle fought in Japan, when Diandra fought in the first American card in one.
Ooh.
You know, like you don't know these things. And you don't know, man. Sometimes you walk past people on the street and they could be billionaires, or they could be inventors. You could walk past someone who's got to know. You go to Switzerland, walk past someone, Nobel Peace Prize, you wouldn't know.
No, man.
And so, but these are
humble.
But these are the things, man. It's finite, man.
Yeah.
But it's not. But it's for everyone else. It's for the community. It's not. You know, you feel good in life, and I feel good in life when I give.
Yeah.
And it's a big thing about Buddhism too, right? It's like about giving and
being
helping.
in service.
Yeah. Giving, and helping.
Yeah.
And attachment is suffering, man. And attachment to these thoughts sometimes can be suffering. And there are people, and we see it, man, and there are people and they get to 40 and 50 and 60 and 70 or whatever it is, and they're no longer involved in it. And why isn't this person showing this respect to me? Why isn't this? Because no one knows, man.
Yeah.
But
And
it's
just
okay.
but don't hang
But
your head
it's
on
alright,
that.
you got to, because it's not who you are. It's just what you do.
Yeah.
Identity is a big thing for people, and they struggle with it because Muay Thai is not who we are. It doesn't matter what you say. It's not who you are. It's what you do.
Yeah.
Muay Thai is what you do. It's not who you are. You have to figure out who you are first. Muay Thai is what you do. If you can't answer the question of who you are, well, then you're going to have trouble when you're older.
People always ask me, what would you give the best advice you'd give a young bundi or a 20-year-old bundi? Is I'd say self-awareness, man. Be self-aware of yourself, man. Learn who you are. Learn what you can do. Learn what you can't do.
Man,
You know?
but yeah, learn who you are, because who you are is not what you do.
Yeah, exactly.
Because anything can get taken away from you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Your friends, your family, your job, your business. For any of us, COVID 2.0, any of these things can get taken away.
Me, man.
But I know who Kieran is without Muay Thai.
Yeah.
But if you can't answer that question, and I've said this on podcasts before, if you can't answer this question, you're going to have trouble when you're older.
Yeah.
What you do is not who you are.
Yeah. That's so fucking true, man. That is so true. Well, on that note, mate, thank you for a very
Thanks for coming on.
very philosophical conversation. Thank you for letting me come to this wonderful world-class gym. Of
course, man.
Thank you for your
very
time, and let's go and enjoy. We're going to go enjoy the Muay U Christmas party.
Christmas party, baby.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go.
Okay, man. Cheers. Thanks a lot, brother.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Awesome,
Thank you,
awesome.
thank you,
Cheers.
thank you.
All right. Woo!